Hi everybody, how are you today? It is, what is today? Thursday. I can't talk. Hey girl. Hi. How are you, love? Yeah, are you looking for more food? Are you looking for more food? Are you looking for more food? How are you today? Today is Thursday. I am so symptomatic today. I might lay down while I talk to you. I hope you don't mind. Okay, so why did I want to pop in today? So sorry to come to you laying down like this. So I'm an adult with ADHD and now diagnosed with neurodevelopmental disorder, which includes autistic traits. So it's not an official autism diagnosis. It's from a neuropsychological assessment. So this did test for autism as well, but for some reason, because the test wasn't thorough enough, it's not enough to give me official diagnosis, but it's enough to show that I have autistic and Asperger's traits, is what she said. What that means, I don't know yet. So I had my neuropsychological assessment on Monday. I rested on Tuesday because I knew that would be very, very taxing for me. I also have a comorbidity of, I happen to have a chronic illness now, which I suspect my neurodivergence, being chronically taxed to do more than I actually have spoons for. But it's hard for me to tell. And a lot of my neurodivergence is very invisible. I'm high masking. And because of poor interoception, like I don't always feel hungry when I need to eat. I don't always feel thirsty when I need to drink. And especially now that I'm postmenopausal, it seems to increase that. So I used to be hungry pretty regularly and at least hungry and thirsty once in a while. I didn't always get those sensations, but that seems to increase. So I really question if I am able to... What is she clawing? Hold on. I don't know. She's either in the sink or in the shower, and she's just crying and clawing at the... She tries to dig a hole through the sink. I don't understand it. I'm not sure what she's trying to do. I think she gets hypnotized by the sink because it's metal. I looked it up, and apparently it can, for cats who are obsessed with water and a sink, a shiny metal surface is kind of mesmerizing for them. And water is clear, and I think that she gets obsessed with it. And maybe it feels really good on their paws. So sorry about that. Distraction. Oh my goodness, she's funny. So what was I saying? Hold on. Okay, so I had my neuropsychological evaluation on Monday. That was a really high stress day for me, which I think it would be for anybody. Even if you weren't doing drills and math and basically school type problems and puzzles and the word problems particularly, like when they say so and so had 5 packs of gum at 25 pieces each, and at the end, and he had, I don't know, 5 packs of gum, and you gave, I don't know, you had this many. How many did he give away? I don't know. So my poor working memory is, I have the comprehension to figure it out, of course, but I wasn't allowed to visually see it I had to use my auditory to hear the details and then try to hold it in my memory. So I'm like, okay, there are multiplications of 25. There's 5 of them. I can convert that. In my brain, I'm going, okay, I can convert that into the 25 pieces. I'm just going to convert it into money because it's going to be easier for me to think of a quarter as 25 pieces. But then by the time I got to get to the other numbers, I forgot. Like, I couldn't hold them both in my memory. So, as one example, yeah, I think that would have been stressful for anybody, even if you're not neurodivergent. Oh my God, it's like an hour away, and I get so triggered driving down there. About 10 years ago, my family had moved, and so the place I was going to, they only had like 3 prescribers there at that location, and mine retired. All of them left. And so now any of the patients they have, I don't know if it's the same with the therapists, but they all have to commute a distance to a city. Oh my God, I get so triggered by traffic, and it takes so long, and then the driving, it always gives me anxiety. This is the 3rd time I've gone down there. The first 2 times I went by myself, and both times I ended up getting dysregulated and melting down. And I had to sit in my car and wait for it to pass. Oh my God, it was awful. The second time I got so dysregulated because I could not control if I was going to be there on time or not. And I already have issues with being on time because the traffic gets so bad, and because it's such a long distance, there's no way to predict how long it takes to get there. And there's no way to know how much earlier you need to leave. I just had a full-on meltdown. And I think I ended up yelling at them because I couldn't control my emotions because I got so dysregulated. Not yelling at them like angry, but I had to cancel. And they're like, no, it's okay, you're in the area, come now. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't let anybody see me this way. I couldn't even think of leaving my vehicle. I had to stay parked in a nearby mall until it passed. And then be safe to turn around and drive home. It was horrible. So luckily this time I didn't know how I was going to get down there. And the whole meeting was going to be 4 hours for all of the different examination type things, all the different tests. That's a long time. That's a long time for anyone, especially if you haven't been in school or taken any kind of tests in like a decade. That's a lot. I think that's stressful for anyone. And then the drive is stressful for anybody. So I didn't know how I was going to get down there. My mom had offered, but she's in her 80s and I didn't want to do that to her. And I was talking to my fiance. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't trust myself to get there on time, and I don't trust myself to be in any kind of state. If I melt down, how am I going to, how much time is it going to take? Like, shaking and crying in my car and feeling like an absolute insane person and not knowing why. How am I going to, how long is it going to take for that to pass? And I might not be able to recover that from the day and be functional. So I was telling him I didn't know how I was going to do that. And I wasn't saying it to get him to offer or to ask him. I think I was just thinking out loud and trying to find solutions. And he took the day off of work and he actually brought me. I was so grateful. Oh my God, guys, I was so grateful. I would not have been able to function. And I don't know why that drive triggers me so much. It'd be the same. I live in New England, so it'd be the same thing as if I was going to go drive into Boston. Ugh, it's just a nightmare. If you're in New England, if you work in Boston, or if you're from Boston, then you're kind of used to it. But if you're not, it's a lot. And then if you're on neurodivergent, and then people zipping past you, and then being stuck in bumper to bumper traffic, oh my God, for like 20 minutes. And then because it's like you're going into a place that's like going to be very trafficy no matter what time you go, basically, it's just like a nightmare. So anyway, I was very proud of myself that I think just him coming with me was calming, just to know that he came. And I was really surprised. It was very helpful being in the car, not having to drive. And I was really surprised that as we get closer to this place where the traffic starts to pick up and it was starting to get slow down and I was starting to panic again. I was surprised how triggering that was. I didn't understand why I was triggered by it, because I wasn't the one driving. But I start to get like, I feel like the cars are getting too close to me. I don't like that. I feel like there's going to be an accident. There was once when I was younger where I used to commute. This was like a whole nother, almost feels like another lifetime, because this was like 2.5 decades ago. I used to go to another state. I used to commute because I was in a relationship and I used to drive down. And so I would drive down, and maybe once a week for a few days or something like that. And it wasn't uncommon for certain stretches to be stop and go. It wasn't as triggering for me then, but I was so much more resilient when I was younger. I don't know how much age and health affects your neurodivergent symptoms. I think that, I don't know if it's the same for guys. The hormonal changes can really affect. Oh my God, they've made my symptoms so much worse, and my sensitivity and my brain fog and all of that. But there was once where we were all stopped. I don't know why. There was something that happened on the highway and everybody had come to a stop, and then it had backed up for a while, and then some asshole, sorry for swearing, some idiot, I don't know if somebody was on their phone or what was going on, wasn't paying attention and was veering along and didn't watch the traffic, didn't realize that people were coming to a stop, and all of a sudden I heard bang, 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 bang. And I looked in my rear view. Now, I was all the way over in the left-hand lane, which was the fast lane, but we had all gradually come to a stop. That was traumatizing. Now, when I looked in my rear view mirror, I saw like a whole bunch of cars get whacked. So this car comes tumbling down. It was like domino effect, like one into another. And then I saw like different cars like go this way and this way behind me, and it was coming towards me. And so the car directly behind me ended up getting hit. And several cars behind it was like bang, 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 bang in my lane too. And I was like, shit. It felt like I was in Final Destination 2 or something. It was so scary because you couldn't get out of the way because everybody was and there was cars like, so I don't know, that experience might have affected me, where when things get very trafficky, I get very anxious. I don't like when the cars get too close together. I don't like that. I feel like I'm going to get boxed in like a can of sardines and I'm going to get hit. Because it happens. It's not like it happens every day, but it happens enough. You know, that's why they do the traffic report in the morning, to see how it's going and to see if there's a car accident, to see everything is backed up. You know, it could be construction or whatever, but it's, you know, they happen often enough that it's happening to someone. So I was really fortunate that the car behind me got hit, and I don't know if he kind of veered away, but I kind of went like, you know, the the center between the two lanes of traffic sometimes in New England, depending on the highway, there is like land. And I think it was going to go down or to the side. And I'm like, oh my God, my car is going to I'm going to go into the grass area and it's going to get stuck and I'm not going to be able to get out. Oh, by the grace of God, my car did not get hit, but the car behind me got hit. That was terrifying. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on that tangent. So let's see. Monday I had that. And then Tuesday I was just going to rest because I have chronic fatigue. I have a chronic illness, ME/CFS, which is myalgic encephalomyelitis, which is the fancy word for chronic fatigue. So basically, imagine being in neurodivergent burnout for such an extended period of time on and off that it's put such a stress on your nervous system and your immune system that now it can't regulate itself and you can get very, very ill. So it's like a built-in thing where I have to kind of manage my energy. It gets kind of challenging. I've been getting better at it. But it's really hard for me to tell when I overextend myself. So 2 weeks ago, I had one day where I was excited that I was finally getting some of my physical energy back and my baseline has been moving up. That I was excited. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a little cleaning to see how I feel. So I did the dishes. I was just like, okay, let me do this thing and let me do this thing. And I had been sick for so many months that I just couldn't take it anymore. And I think I did too much. I vacuumed the house. I did the litter. I did all of these things after being sick for so many months. And it's so weird with ME/CFS because I'm so used to, if I do too much, crashing the next day. Like normally, if it's just autistic or ADHD burnout, or if it's just physically, like even if you like didn't have an illness, if you do too much, even if it's like you're recovering from a flu, if you do too much, you pretty much feel it the next day or the day after. But with this chronic fatigue, it's weird. It has these things called PEMs, Post-Exertion Malaise. And they're basically like your body crashes from overexertion and your baseline goes down. And then suddenly, like, you're dizzy, you can't think straight, your energy is crashing, and you can't get out of bed, right? It's not too much difference from, like, if you're sick and you're recovering from being sick, and then you just can't stand it anymore, and you start doing too much, and you make yourself sick again. Only with ME/CFS, or otherwise known as chronic fatigue, if you do that, you have to be careful because you've worked so hard to bring your baseline up. You don't want to start pushing it back down and going backwards and getting sick again and being stuck in bed for like a month. So it's very tricky. You have to strike this balance to, you have to rest enough and know what amount of activity is safe for you to do on a given day. Depending on how bad it is and what state you're at, if you're in a bad state with it, for some people, just sitting up is all they can do in a whole day. Like just the act of getting up to go to the bathroom might take all they have. It's bad. I'm not at that point. Oh God, that's awful. It's awful. It's so bad. And you feel like you never get better. It's scary to not feel in control of your health like that. And then there's really nothing they can do. There's no treatment for it, which sucks. It's like a multi-system condition. So it can be caused by many things. It can be caused possibly overexertion on your different systems from chronic, maybe burnout, I suspect that there might be a connection between my neurodivergence, just being overly stressed over a period of time, that eventually I put so much stress in my body that it can't bounce back. So what MECFS is, those systems that you have in your body that regulate your electrolytes, your heart rate, your energy levels, your ability to bounce back. Imagine that your system gets so stressed out, like not stressed out like anxiety, but it puts a stress on all of these different systems in your body that your body utilizes to maintain homeostasis and to recover, including the very cells of your body being able to use the energy of food to get energy to your body. So it's down to a cellular level. It's a multi-system thing. So it's very tricky and it's scary. So I've worked so hard, gradually. The only way I've gotten better is just make sure I eat every 3 hours. I religiously make sure I have enough protein and carbs and fat. It's such a pain in the ass. Oh my God, it in itself can be stressful. But anyway, I've worked really hard. I mean, can you imagine just resting and making sure you eat every 3 hours becomes its own full-time job? That's not living. But if you don't do it, you get worse. And for some people, it gets so severe, it's a threat to their, their health being stable. Some people might have to go to a hospital. It's just bad. So I never want it to get that far. And I've been kind of like going through phases where I've been using like Gemini on my phone to track, to make sure I eat. And then that becomes such a stress. Like it's so much. So anyway, so I've been doing that for months now, and gradually, so painstakingly slowly, my baseline has been coming up. I almost feel normal. I can feel normal for a day or two, and then it's like, I'm like afraid to live. I'm afraid to like go to the grocery store, so you can imagine what that assessment is I'm going to crash. So I'm going to have to make sure that the next few days that I take it easy. And if you're somebody who has ADHD, autism, or both, and you have something like chronic fatigue, it will be helpful to start to pay attention. So I am considering, a few weeks ago, I was looking at trying to start some kind of a planner or some kind of, I can't do it like I did before. I used to have it so that it had just like my basic cleaning and basic tasks that I need in order to be functional. So I have a structure, so I don't go backwards and not be functional in life. And that's not counting illness. That's just ADHD stuff. Oh, my phone's about to die. So anyway, to make this short, because this video is getting way too long, and my phone's about to die. Hold on. There we go. So 2 weeks ago, I had a day where I did cleaning and I did too much. And then I think I was going to rest the next day. And I don't know if there was a day in between. And then I did an errand. I went grocery shopping. I try not to buy too much because I get stressed out. So my sensory issues, that's the thing, is that when you have health issues, when you don't have the physical reserves, that the energy reserves you used to, it actually, this is why I kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit, because I don't know if other people struggle with this, and I thought this might be helpful. I almost feel like the health issues exacerbate the neurodivergent symptoms. They make things stress me out more. They make my sensory sensitivities worse. They make it so things that weren't necessarily an issue for me before are a big deal now and a stress. And then the stress of the neurodivergence can affect the health issues. So I have to try to manage what I do in a week so that I don't do too much. And it's really hard to tell because I won't know. And it depends on the week. So some weeks I might do just what seems like a little bit, and then I might end up having a crash. So it's been a lot better than it was. These crashes aren't too bad now, but I can tell that I have to lean into them. So in these post-exertion malaise crash, which I'm now bracing myself for, that week where I had that one day of cleaning, and then I don't know if there was a day in between, but then I also went to the grocery store, to one that I've never been to before, which actually really stressed me out because I've never been to this particular company's grocery stores before, and so I didn't know how they had things laid out, and this particular location. So I don't know about you guys. Do you guys get that where it can be stressful going to the grocery store as it is sensory wise? You get the crowd of people, which is triggering. And I've got an infection. It's TMI, but I get ear infections. So the skin in my ears, I have an infection. And so I actually can't wear any kind of headphones to block out the sound. So I don't have any accommodations for myself. Luckily, the store was slow and I had a very good experience, but then it's like I was excited about that, and that will put a stress on your system. So that didn't seem like too much because I forgot. Like, it seems like out of sight, out of mind. The next day, I forget what I did the previous day. So 2 days later, so that was like, I want to say like a Friday and a Sunday or something like that. Suddenly, like Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday, all of a sudden out of the blue, I just felt extremely exhausted out of nowhere. And I'm like, what the fuck? Sorry for swearing, but I'm like, what? So I just listened to it, and it just makes you feel like, not impotent, like, what's the word? I just feel like I can't control my life. I can't go do stuff, and I have a lot of guilt about that because my fiance works very hard. And he's supporting me now, and that's not okay with me. And it's not fair to expect him to be understanding and to carry my weight, even though it's not my fault. I can just try to do the best I can to control what I have control over. And sometimes that means accepting I don't and resting. Even though I know that he might come home and it may look to him like I could have done the dishes maybe, and it looks like I'm just sitting around playing video games, laying in my bed. And I hate it. So yeah, the weird thing with the post-exertion malaise is it's delayed. So if you overexert yourself, yeah, I think with just being neurodivergent and have sensory issues, you can overexert yourself much easier because I feel like it puts, sorry for the shaking. I feel like it puts so much of a stress on your body. It's like the emotional, the dysregulation, I feel like it puts such a stress on your body as it is. It can make you sick. It can make you run down and burn out. Yeah, chronic illness is for the birds. It's not fun. So that was 2 weeks ago. And then I was stuck in bed for days. And I'm always questioning it. I'm always thinking, am I exaggerating this? And I don't know, because sometimes I can't tell. Because the poor interoception, I don't always get the messages from my body. I just, and then the out of sight, out of mind, the ADHD, the poor working memory, not knowing what I did maybe earlier in that day, let alone the day before. So that was, I want to say, 2 weeks ago. So the next week I just didn't do much. I just kind of took it easy until I started to feel better again. And so this Monday, so let's see, I almost forgot. Saturday I did a live with you guys and I lost track of time, and I just got so excited that I haven't like been in touch with people in so long, and I haven't been doing lives in so long, so there was a lot of people I didn't know. I didn't know what to talk about. I ended up talking for like 4 hours, so I'm sure that put a stress on my body, just from the excitement of it. And that was on Saturday, I think. It might have been Sunday. I can't remember now. And then I had that the stress from the testing, neuropsychological testing, which was a lot. It was a lot. By the time I got there, I was so nervous that I started having digestive issues and I had to run to the bathroom. A couple of times when I had a break, I had to run to the bathroom. So I'm like, wow, this is really stressing me out. This is making me anxious. Like, I don't necessarily know. I don't necessarily know how to identify it. I just know I feel bad and it's not good. And I don't know why, and it's not rational. It's just, that's part of what's good about learning this stuff, is that it will help me identify it so I can give myself accommodations and start to understand where my sensitivities are, right? So those were that's more stress than the week before, where I was doing some cleaning and then I did a grocery run. This week I did a live for 4 hours and then I did that neuropsychological testing, which was 4 hours long. I was really fortunate to have my fiance with me because I think that it took a lot of the edges off of it. And then during my break, he was able to come and give me power bar. I was so grateful because I had some snacks, but I'm like, I have MECFS. I've had to reschedule this thing months out a couple of times because I didn't know how I was going to be okay. Because when I was more sick a few months back, if I missed, like if I went over the 3 hours and I was approaching 4 hours without eating, I started to feel dizzy. I started to feel like I was going to pass out. It was bad. So it was scary. And that stress on my body of going over that amount of time to eat actually would make me crash. So having to eat, I'm like, how am I going to make sure I eat every 3 hours if I'm at this thing and it's 4 hours long? So we figured that out. So I ate just on our way. We stopped at like a donut place, and I wanted to get a coconut water because I had run out of my electrolytes, which has been putting a stress on my system. One of the ways I've been managing my MECFS and my menopause is I've gotten very sensitive to blood sugar crashes, and I don't have diabetes. It's just my system has gotten sensitive. So that's been improving some. So that's good. But yeah, it's almost like having to treat your body like you have diabetes. That's the best way I know how to describe it. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So she did tell me I would need to bring snacks. And I had scheduled this out and then canceled it and like rescheduled it multiple times. And this time I felt like I was well enough to be somewhere for 4 hours. So I just had to figure out how. And then knowing that the stress wasn't going, being stressed out wasn't going to make me crash. So I was like, okay, it's going to be a lot. I'm probably going to crash the next day, but I feel safe now. Right. So yes. So I ate, let's say, I don't know if we left at 8:30. It was until 10:30, but we had to leave super early. Yeah, so we had like breakfast sandwich, so I had a meal. So I had a meal when I first woke up, which was crazy early because I couldn't sleep. because I was anxious. So I'm like, great, I'm not going to be able to function. I'm like, how come I can't sleep? That's not good. Because I thought the lack of sleep is going to put more of a stress on my body too. All these little things are not normally a big thing. When your body's healthy, it can bounce back from a lack of sleep. It can bounce back from and manage if your blood sugar. But when you're sick, these small things can become big things. So you have to kind of like orchestrate it all and plan it. And then try not to, it will feel like it's running your life. But if you don't do it, you'll get worse. So that was good. I was able to do those things and get through it. And then, oh God, I was embarrassed. And I knew it probably was not fun for him. You know, he never complains. I'm sure he didn't really want to be there doing that. But he did that for me, and I'm very grateful. I still have a lot of embarrassment. It's not the same dynamic as I've had in past relationships. I won't get into it too much. He doesn't want things to be very codependent, so he kind of leaves me to my own devices. He kind of leaves me to solve my own problems, which is good and it's not good, because I'm supposed to be able to ask for support. So, and this is not saying anything personal about him or complaining about him or anything. This is human nature, and our relationship's been very lopsided for a little while now because I've been struggling for a while. And even though it's not my fault, you can see how that would seem to somebody else who's carrying the weight, and they shouldn't. They should just be able to do their own job and their own things. They shouldn't have to take care of another person, right? It's not fair to expect that. So I try to do the most that I can to be independent and to take care of myself so that I'm not putting a stress on a relationship or him. It's not fair. So anyway, I sent him like a long text thanking him. Once I'm feeling better, I'm going to do something nice for him. I don't know what yet. So now if I go back a couple weeks and see, okay, well, a couple weeks ago, this is where my baseline is. I have to pay attention week to week. What have I physically been doing? How have I been able to manage? How much can I do without crashing? Like maybe I can only do the dishes in a day. You know, just the stress of going to the store and doing errands. Because I start to feel sick as I'm out. And then I have to keep myself calm, and I have to pace myself so that my sensory issues aren't stressing me out, because I pay for that later. So it's tricky to manage that. So that's good. So this week has been more stress, right? And then, so I had the 4 hours live, which I was like, I'll be fine. I wasn't thinking of anything else. And then, then Tuesday, I was just going to rest. And then I forgot that my venlafaxine, that scary one, that if I go without it, it's bad. I realized that Wednesday morning, I would be out. So Tuesday, I was going to rest and not do anything. So I had that day of the live, then I kind of rest. Then I had that marathon day, which was very taxing. So it was mandatory I should rest and not do any errand or anything. And then I realized, shit, it's 7 o'clock. The pharmacy is going to close. Fuck. Sorry for swearing. I don't have that tomorrow. That is going to exponentially put way more of a stress on my body if I don't get that medication right now. So I was so exhausted and I wasn't dressed, and I had to wash up really quick, throw on some clothes, and go down to the pharmacy before they closed. And then the lady told me that they wouldn't have it for a day or two because they had to send out for it. And I'm like, oh. And this is the one that if I go more than one day without, then I end up basically feeling like I'm having a bipolar episode. And I don't have bipolar, but this particular medication, because it has practically no half-life, that you rebound very quickly, and it is an incredible stress on your body. And it's an incredible stress to suddenly have all these powerful, stressful emotions out of nowhere, like a tsunami, and you can't control it. And you're crying, and all of a sudden you're dizzy, you can't think straight, you can't stand up, you can't drive. I'm like, well, I just had a really stressful couple of days. If you think about, not stressful like angry, but stressful like the actual stress that it does to your body because of being active, and then the whole day. And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get that right fucking now. And I got there, and they're like, well, we won't have it until tomorrow afternoon. That's today. Wait, that was yesterday. Wait, today's Thursday. They did get it yesterday afternoon, but I was tired. And I thought, okay, I can go. And then I had to try to guess. I had tried to remember. I'm like, I can go 24 hours without. So yesterday would have been the day I went without. As long as I go the next morning, the crash, the overwhelm, and the bipolar symptoms, that's what I call it because I don't know what else to call it, is terrible. It doesn't happen until the afternoon. So I had to get my shit together and go to the store today. And it was fine, but I was so out of it this morning. Again, I just did a quick wash up, got dressed, and it wasn't even the afternoon. Usually I don't start getting those symptoms where I start getting dizzy and then I can't drive, and you start feeling like getting hysterical. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I can't let that happen to me. That was what I went through is a lot. I'm going to crash in a few days. I just don't get it too. Like the post-exertion malaise. So if you end up having ME/CFS and you get autistic or ADHD or ADHD burnout, how do you know what crash it's from? Well, if you get like a burnout crash, if you have a stressful sensory or physical exertion and it causes an autistic or an ADHD burnout, you get that crash the next day. So it's very similar to you did too much cleaning in your house and you're out of shape, and then the very next day you're just like, oh, I can't move. And so you have to rest, right? Well, this post-exertion malaise thing, it happens like multiple days later. It's the most bizarre thing. And the thing is, I totally forget about it. I'm like, it'll be a day or two out. And I know I learned about this when learning about chronic fatigue, that this happens. But it's still bizarre. Like my brain won't accept it. I start going, oh, I'm fine. Oh, I felt fine the last couple days. So yeah, so I started getting some of those symptoms. Right now it's, so I did get to the pharmacy and get the pill. Get the medication. And I immediately, as soon as I got in the car, I started having the shakes. Man, I think I left at 11. I was so out of it at 9. I was spacing out. I'm an unmedicated ADHD person, so it was like hard for me to get my shit together to get out and not like be wandering around the house for like hours and losing track of time. Like the cognitive effects of ADHD for some people can be really impairing, especially if you're like in a burnout or you have an illness and then you've just had testing and then I have 4 hours. So this is a lot this week. Oh my God. I just got home a little while ago. My head is kind of spinning a little bit, but I took that pill immediately. I'm like, whoa, crisis averted. So I might be resting for a few days, and I hope that prevents a crash. But this is kind of like, this is a long video, I apologize, but this is almost like, I don't know, a video diary in a way, because this is the only way that I know I'm going to be able to know like what's too much. So I will feel tired tomorrow because going without medication even one day will put a stress on my body. And I've had a couple of stressful days. So I'm actually tempted, if I felt up to it, because I've been wanting to start to do lives again. I'm tempted to do one, but I don't think it's a good idea at all. It's so depressing. I've isolated myself. I have people who have texted me and I haven't texted them back, and I feel really bad about it, but it's like, it's embarrassing because they're like, how are you doing? Reaching out to me. And am I going to say, hi, I've got chronic fatigue. Sorry, I can't make plans. I can't think straight to talk. I don't know what to say to you. I'm sorry, it's embarrassing and it's depressing. And then they're going to be like, oh, and they're not going to know what to say. And I just get so awkward that I just haven't known what to say without making it a big thing. But I can only focus on what's going on right now. So I am learning how to manage all of these things that are coexisting at the same time. And that day, Tuesday, which I was just going to rest, because Wednesday I had 2 appointments. That was very quick that I ended up having the appointment with the neuropsychologist to go over all of the results from that. And I was talking to her for like an hour. And that's emotional. So that's a stress on my body from the emotions. Those things would be things I normally, if I didn't have an illness, wouldn't be something I had to necessarily be concerned about, because it would put a stress on me, but I could just give myself some time and recover from it and it'd be fine. But now it's like, with this added layer of this chronic fatigue thing, I just have to be careful and not stress out about it too much, but to be aware. It'll make you crazy, man. Because I need to start being a little bit active, but I can't exercise yet, and I can't do too much. So yeah, this has been kind of so we've got Saturday. I did that long, and I didn't plan this. I just didn't think, really. So I'm a little nervous that I might have a PEM crash, post-exertion malaise crash, in a few days because the sustained stress. So I did a 4-hour. It wouldn't be a big deal if I didn't have this illness, but just trying to figure out how much is too much and then filter through all of these different things and to start accommodating for them and to see, okay, what things are going to put a stress on my body, like what things that are just stressed, like things that are, sensory issues, like, is this going to make me sick or not? And learning from that. So I might start at some point having some kind of a planner or a notebook where I can start to track what I do on different days, and then maybe start tracking my symptoms so that I can start to see progress. And I think that might help me to understand, like, what physical activities or stressful activities or sensory stressful activities, like doing grocery shopping when I'm not feeling great, and then the sensory issues with that. So we had Saturday, the 4-hour live. I took it easy Sunday. Monday I had that 4-hour kind of it was a nightmare for me just because I wasn't really up to doing it, but it was very important. It was super important for me to have that done, and I've been wanting to do that for a very long time. That meant a lot to me. And then I was going to rest Tuesday. Then I realized I was running out of my script. So then I stressed out Tuesday night, got all dressed and went to the pharmacist. They didn't have it. And then I realized I haven't had supplements for months. So I made myself drive to Walmart. And then I was talking to Gemini about like my list, and I've been doing a lot of work with him, and I'm like, hey Gemini, what is my list of supplements that I take? I should be taking these for my health because I'm not well. And I've felt so guilty because I haven't been working. I have to ask money from people to get these things, and supplements are not cheap. So then I'm like tired, I'm like headed, and I'm like, this is too much to do in a week. That was Tuesday night. I was wandering around. I had a hard time driving too. The lights were a little blurry, and I'm like, wow, is this because I'm tired? So that was Tuesday night. So Saturday, I did the 4-hour live. I did not intend for all of this. It just worked out this way. I didn't know or think that all of these different things were going to happen in the way they did. So Saturday was the 4-hour live. Rested Sunday. Monday was that whole day long thing. Then I was going to rest Tuesday. So I wasn't doing back to back. Then Tuesday evening, I realized I have to go to the pharmacy, got dressed, and all of the stress of going up there. They didn't have it. And then I went into another town to go to Walmart to get supplements because I'm like, you know what? If I'm going through all this stress, I haven't had vitamins. That was another stress. That was Tuesday night. Then Wednesday, I had 2 different appointments. An hour-long appointment with the neuropsychologist to go over my results. And then there was like half an hour in between. And then I had my counseling appointment, which I was very glad to have them back to back. But that's a lot. And I was so exhausted. I was so wiped that I'm like, I cannot go to the pharmacy. I'm like trying to remember, how long can I go without this medication before I get these terrible side effects? I should have dragged my ass there. But it was just feels like since Saturday, it almost feels like every single day there's been something. So this morning I'm like, I have to go. And then I think I might have overextended myself because those terrible like bipolar like symptoms and then the dizziness and stuff, they hit me at like 10 a.m. And they usually, like, I thought that does not normally hit. And the times it has happened of running out and them not having it or something like that, I can go one day without one. And then the very next day, the symptoms, it's like clockwork. They will come around 1, 2 in the afternoon. They start hitting at like 11, like 10 or 11. So then I started having the shakes. I'm like, shit, how am I going to drive to the store? So now my anxiety's up. So I just went and got my venlafaxine. I got here. And I've had a really eventful week. And for those of you who have ADHD, autism, both, and have sensory sensitivities, or have also a comorbidity of chronic fatigue, and have weeks where a bunch of these different things happen, I didn't know if sharing this with you might be helpful. So it's hard to manage because you have to pace yourself, and it can be very tricky. And you have to try to not be reactive to things, which is impossible if you're neurodivergent. Well, at least for me. I know it's like the challenges we have vary so much depending on each person. You know, we all have such vastly different lived experiences because we all have different challenges. But yeah, stress, anxieties, and then the whole unpredictability of it all week long has been making me anxious. So I hope I don't have anything planned for the rest of this week. I can't think straight. So yay, I don't have money to buy food, and I have some for now, but I'm running out of my protein powder. I'm not complaining by talking about these things. I just know that some people who follow me might have similar issues. I know if Celtic Phoenix, if you see this, she's got some health problems. They're different than mine. But I think definitely if you're neurodivergent if you have any amount of autism and you like structure and you don't like things that are unpredictable, you get a shit ton of anxiety, and it's awful. I don't think that the answer is to simply get used to it, because I don't think that honors the system that you have. I think it's a matter of trying the best that you can to plan for things in advance if you can, and then learning whatever coping skills you can and how to make adjustments when things either go wrong or suddenly have something that you have to manage that's high intensity for you. That's really challenging. But I survived this week. For the state of my health and for where I'm at right now, this is actually huge. Even if I just did that one thing and I didn't do anything else this week, I'm actually glad I got the results so quickly, but I haven't really been able to recover from that, so that I almost wish I didn't. So if I ever do something like this again, which if I am able to get an autism assessment in the future to kind of like diagnose like where I fall on the spectrum and what like my particular presentation and challenges are and strategies for me. Like I got some of this from, and I'm going to get a full report. She says it's going to take a few days before it ends up being on my portal. So from what I heard from my therapist, these things can sometimes be like 7 to 8 pages. And she did kind of go over with me the different types of reasoning, the different types of memories, and the things that I do have challenges with. And they are embarrassing for the things that I do have challenges with, because certain types of memory, not being able to remember things that other people can, it's scary and it makes you really sad. And it does impair you. So I do fall into that kind of spiky profile where some of my capabilities are exceptional and then some of them are impaired. So it's a very kind of strange dichotomy. And I also think that that's probably, even though each of our experiences and our challenges are very different, and then the severity of each of those are very different from each other. But some things are very similar in the sense that from what I'm gaining from different people I'm meeting and talking to on here, it seems not uncommon for somebody to have neurodivergence and have definitely some comorbidity. Seems like everybody I've talked to either has diagnosed anxiety disorder, major depression, some kind of mood disorder or anxiety disorder, or OCD. And multiple people I've gotten to know have some kind of digestive or health issue or skin infections because of the stress it puts on your health. So somebody cannot tell us this is in your head and you could do it if you want to. If your body's getting this fucking sick, I'm sorry, that's not in your head. That's your capacity. You're far exceeding your capacity to the point that your body starts to break down. That's a problem. And I think I saw, there's another person that I've been following, Adelaide Alchemist. I think he's British. He's so calming to listen to him, and he's neurodivergent. He has autism. He's very sweet. I saw something from him this week, and I might post it in my posts. What was I going to tell you about him? Hold on. I forget what it was. I just covered a bunch of things. I can't even believe that I covered all of that. So yeah, this isn't me feeling sorry for myself. This is just covering the particular challenges, and I'm actually proud of myself. I think everything considered, I did really well. And so I'm going to allow myself to rest for multiple days and hope that I don't have a crash in a few days from now. And hope that my fiance isn't upset with me if I can't take care of myself or do the dishes and things get bad. I'm just tired of managing it all. So I love you guys. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for hanging out with me and listening to me share my story with you and the different things that I've been managing this week. I know that it's really different for each of us, but there are some things that seem similar. I think any one of these things, like if you were to isolate any of them by themselves, it's a lot. If you just had depression, that's a lot. If you just had OCD, if you know somebody who struggles with OCD, that's a lot to struggle with. If somebody only dealt with functional areas, cognitive impairments, poor working memory, sensory sensitivities, and communication and differences of autism, ADHD, or both, that's a fucking lot. That impairs your life a lot. But it just seems to me it's never one thing. If you have that, it seems like everybody has some kind of variety of coping with multiple things, and each thing has its own set of coping skills that you have to learn, a toolbox for it. And on top of that, it's hard to remember to take care of yourself. It's hard to remember to eat. It's hard to remember to drink water or take your fucking medication. And you need to do all of that. It's like, I just want to get back to living again. I'm going to try to be positive. I'm going to rest for a few days. And if I'm up to it, maybe I can do another live soon. So anybody who sees this, if there's anything that you would like to talk about, anything that you relate to that I've been talking about today, that if you've been juggling health issues as well as neurodivergence, what has your experience been like, and what has been helpful for you? I hope that sharing this can help someone else out there who may see this feel less alone and know you're not alone and you're not less. And you might have struggles that other people don't. It's really lonely, and it isn't fair. Not that life is fair. It's not fair. And other people won't understand because they can't put themselves in your shoes. They can't even imagine. And the invisible nature of it makes it seem like they just assume it's not real, which is just unfortunately human nature. If they can't see it, it must be in your head. It must not be that bad. You look fine to me. That's also not helpful. It makes it hard to advocate for yourself. So hopefully going forward, I would love to figure out ways that we can talk about coping skills, tools to manage these things, how to do it in a way that isn't completely overwhelming, how to keep your faith and that things can get better, and try to see the good in ourselves, because I don't know, I think they said by the time a child's 10 there's like 20,000 negative criticisms that they've had. So there's also all of the emotional aspects of coming to terms with these things and dealing with the social differences and the lack of understanding, and the lack of willingness of different places to give accommodations. And that's a problem, because people don't necessarily have people don't necessarily have access to get autism assessments in different neurodivergent or assessments for cognitive issues, things like this. So many people don't as adults. You know, that's another thing too. So what helps you to stay hopeful? And I'm trying to formulate like some kind, I can't do it right now because I am in the middle of this, and so I'm just going to let this settle. I'm just going to like process. Maybe I can just float on the water, make plans with a friend of mine to come over. I haven't seen her in like a year, or maybe, I don't know, 6 months since before I got sick. She's been trying to make plans with me, and I keep pushing her away because I can't cope. And I'm embarrassed. I don't think like I'd be a good friend to hang out with when I'm not really very verbal because I'm just existing. I don't think I'd be very much fun. But you know what? I think I'm going to try to think of something I can do and to look forward to enjoy some small little thing that I can do before the summer's over. And I hope you guys are doing well. And if you're struggling, do something kind for yourself if you can. It can be hard to carve a space to regulate yourself, especially if you live with family who are neurotypical and they love you and they might care, but it's very hard for them to understand. And they do the best that they can. And some people don't have that. So I hope you're doing well, and I am looking forward to a much more restful and uneventful week next week. And I will report back, hopefully. I think seeing if in the next few days, if a few days from now, if I have a crash and it's not that bad and I get through it, that will be a very good sign. That will be a very good sign that I'm going in the right direction. And then pretty soon, hopefully I won't have to make sure I eat every 3 hours, and I can go like a little bit longer, and then I can be a little bit more active, and I can do a little bit more of the regular stuff that everybody does and takes for granted. And then maybe help my family some too. I love you guys. I think about you. I hope you're well. Take care of yourself, and I will see you soon. Bye.